that I say. As a result of Moses doing all the good deed, Moses lost it at the end. And when Moses lost it doing, can you imagine doing everything right? But one little act of disobedience caused Moses to see the promised land, but not enter into the promised land. One matter of fact, only 2 of Moses' generation made it over into the promised land. Joshua and Caleb. In other words, God wiped the whole generation out in the wilderness. God said, when you come in my presence, don't play with me. Moses was doing the will of God. But the people, the very people that Moses was leading, was rising up against him. Miriam rose up against him. Aaron rose up against him. Moses stood between God and the people, interceding on their behalf. By the time Moses stood up and God answered, God had wiped out over 12,000 people. Wiped them out. God said, I'm not playing anymore. I put up with your foolishness in the wilderness. I will not put up with your foolishness going over into the promised land. That's right. And I come to tell you, God is speaking today. God is speaking today to his church. The Bible declared in 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked way, then, says the Lord, will I hear from heaven. I will forgive their sin and I will heal the land. The reason why there's so much uproar going on in the land is because God's folks refuse to turn around. We know that sin is in the land, but I come to tell you, we got enough churches in this city, and over 49,000 people in the city of Wilson. We got enough churches to occupy, to accommodate all 49,000 folks, but yet if we don't turn from our wicked way, God said, I will not hear from heaven, and I will not heal the land. Folks are dying. You got folks in your family dying and going to hell. I got folks in my family dying and going to hell. We got folks sitting in the church dying and going to hell. But yet nobody's preaching salvation. Nobody's preaching the wages of sin is death. Nobody's preaching that if you turn around, God will step in and God will heal the land. I come to tell you, we're going to see a move of God in this dispensation. We're going to have to start getting on our face. We're going to have to start laying before God. We're going to have to start taking time to read his word. We're going to have to start taking time by yourself. Nobody else. Cut the telephone off. Turn off the TV. Lock your door. Put a do not disturb sign. I'm home, but do not disturb. I got to speak to Jesus because it comes a time in my life that I got to know him. I got to know him in the power of his resurrection and in the fellowship of his suffering. I got to know this man. I got to know the man that I stand up here Sunday after Sunday and preach to you about. I come to tell you that it's okay for me to preach to you, but if the preacher don't know God for himself, the preacher will die and go to hell. I feel the presence of the Lord in this place. I come to tell you that we come the time that we got to know Jesus for ourselves. And I don't know about you, but I have to ask these questions. How shall I call on him if I do not believe him? How can I call on him whom I have not believed? And how shall they believe on him in whom they have not heard? The reason why folks ain't turning around from their wicked way because ain't nobody preaching about Jesus. Everybody preaching in prosperity gospel. God will bless up for us. Oh, I'm going to preach this morning. I'm going to preach today if I don't preach again. But I come to tell you it's time for us to get to know Jesus. I spend time with my wife, but I need to spend time with God. I spend time with my son, but I got to spend time with Jesus. Knowing Jesus is a far better relationship than knowing man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Oh, yeah. I tell you, me and Jesus had a time last night. I preached this message last night. Oh, and I seen the angels of God just filling the house. I see God just moving in this place. But I come to tell you, the only way we got to see God moving, by faith, you got to see the house full. By faith, you got to see the alcoholics coming to the place of God. By faith, you got to see the drug addict say, turn me around, God. By faith, you got to see the prostitute not selling their body, but now giving their body to Jesus.